The chilling wind howled through the desolate landscape as we trudged forward, my new team of soldiers and I. We had just been transferred to a remote border outpost, nestled deep within the heart of a dense and foreboding forest. The assignment had an air of mystery about it, with rumors swirling among the ranks about the death soldier who was said to serve the army even after his demise. I brushed off the stories as mere superstition, believing that our training and discipline would be more than enough to keep us safe. Little did I know, the horrors that awaited us were beyond anything I could have imagined. Our first night at the outpost was unnerving. The flickering lanterns cast eerie shadows on the walls as we settled into our bunks. Unease hung heavily in the air, and even the bravest among us couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. I tried to shake off the unease and closed my eyes, hoping to find solace in sleep. A sudden and bone-chilling cold woke me from a fitful slumber. I sat up, my breath visible in the frigid air. The room was bathed in an otherworldly blue light, and I could feel a presence in the room with me. Panic gripped my heart as I saw a figure standing at the foot of my bunk, dressed in tattered and blood-stained military attire. It was the death soldier, his eyes devoid of life and yet burning with an unholy fire. I couldn't move, paralyzed by fear as he extended a spectral hand towards me. In a rush of terror-fueled adrenaline, I leaped from my bunk and stumbled out of the room, my heart pounding in my chest. I woke my comrades, telling them of the apparition I had witnessed. Some scoffed, dismissing it as a nightmare, while others exchanged worried glances. Despite our skepticism, we couldn't shake the feeling that something malevolent was lurking in the shadows. As the days passed, strange and unsettling events became a daily occurrence. Whispered voices echoed through the halls, footsteps echoed when no one was there, and objects moved on their own. The death soldier's presence seemed to grow stronger, his spectral form appearing at the corners of our vision, always just out of reach. Our team's camaraderie began to fracture under the weight of our fear, and tension hung in the air like a storm cloud ready to burst. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, a thick fog rolled in, shrouding the outpost in an impenetrable mist. We received an urgent transmission from headquarters, ordering us to remain on high alert. As darkness descended, the fog seemed to seep into every crack and crevice, turning the outpost into an otherworldly labyrinth. I was on guard duty, my fingers wrapped tightly around my rifle as I strained to see through the fog. The air was thick with tension, and I could feel the death soldier's presence looming closer. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream pierced the night, followed by a chorus of panicked shouts over the radio. I rushed towards the source of the commotion, heart pounding in my chest. In the dim light, I saw my comrades scrambling to their feet, their faces etched with terror. One by one, they pointed towards the edge of the fog where the death soldier stood, his form flickering in and out of existence. His hollow eyes bore into us, and a sense of impending doom settled over the outpost like a suffocating blanket. We opened fire, our bullets passing harmlessly through the apparition. The death soldier's eerie laughter echoed in the fog, sending shivers down our spines. He moved with unnatural speed, his ethereal form gliding towards us. In a desperate attempt to banish the malevolent spirit, we retreated into the outpost's main building, barricading the doors behind us. Hours turned into an eternity as we huddled together, the sound of our own breath the only thing that broke the silence. The death soldier's laughter echoed through the halls, growing louder and more deranged with each passing moment. We knew we were trapped, with no means of escape from this nightmare. As dawn broke, the fog began to recede, revealing the aftermath of the night's horrors. The outpost lay in ruins, the death soldier's presence fading along with the mist. My team and I were the only survivors, our minds forever scarred by the harrowing ordeal. In the aftermath, we were debriefed by military officials who struggled to explain the inexplicable events that had unfolded. The death soldier's story remained shrouded in mystery, a tragic tale of a soldier who had died on these very grounds, his spirit forever bound to the border he had sworn to protect. Years passed, and the events of that horrifying night became a distant memory. I had moved on, finding solace in the routines of civilian life. But no matter how far I traveled or how busy I kept myself, I could never fully escape the haunting specter of the death soldier. One autumn evening, as the leaves rustled in the wind and the air turned crisp, I found myself standing before a memorial dedicated to fallen soldiers. As I read the names etched into the stone, a sense of melancholy washed over me. And there, among the engraved names, was a name that sent a chill down my spine, the name of the Death Soldier. In that moment, I realized that the Death Soldier's story was more than just a tale of horror and superstition. It was a story of sacrifice, of a soldier who had given everything for a cause he believed in. His spirit had lingered not out of malice, but out of a sense of duty and loyalty that transcended death itself. As I stood before the memorial, a sense of closure washed over me. The Death Soldier's restless spirit had finally found peace, his story now a part of the legacy of those who had served and fallen. And though the horrors of that night would never truly fade, I found comfort in the knowledge that the Death Soldier's haunting presence had ultimately brought us together as a team, bound by a shared experience that had forever changed us. And so, I left the memorial with a renewed sense of purpose, carrying the memory of the Death Soldier with me. His story had become a part of my own, a reminder of the enduring power of duty, sacrifice, and the unbreakable bonds forged in the crucible of fear and darkness.